Hi guys, this is my first attempt at putting together a coax jumper cable in order to measure my antenna's SWR and check power readings from the radio. This is episode 1 of a series of videos documenting my introduction into ham radio. By no means is this a how-to. In addition to the 14 meters of LMR400, I purchased an extra meter for the jumper cable and 2 PL259 crimp connectors. When crimping the sleeve onto the coax, I use size 360 as can be seen here on the crimp tool. I slid the sleeve onto the coax, and as you guys can see, it was quite a tight fit. I followed this with the coupler. I then used the internals of the PL259 to help measure how much outer I was going to cut off, with the intention of leaving only the center conductor. I then used a Stanley knife to score around the outer jacket, marking the area to remove, with the intention of using a chopping board to assist further. I've never used LMR400 and was quite surprised by its thickness. It dwarfs RG58 when you put the two side by side. I decided on this low loss cable for my main run to the antenna, as I'll be using the VHF and UHF frequencies while cutting my teeth at the ham radio game. I'm told transmitting at these frequencies causes a higher amount of signal loss than on the HF bands, so the better quality cable, the more signals making it to the antenna. Do I need LMR 400 for my jumper cable? No. Is it slightly impractical? Yes. You live and learn, or in my case, you live. Go ahead and remove the outer jacket. Looks like I caught a bit of the braid in this instance. So if I'm going to be doing this regularly, I reckon a coax tool would be much easier. I then splayed apart the braid in order to fit the PL259 internals onto the cable. Everything fitted nice and snugly. I then went ahead and slid the PL259 sleeve up along the cable, sandwiching the braid between the internals of the PL259 and the sleeve. Some of the braid poked out of the top. I then went ahead and trimmed this off with a Stanley knife. After a little bit of effort, I was able to remove all of the excess braid. It was now time to crimp the sleeve onto the coax. What I like about the crimp-ons is not having to solder at this stage. I'm sure there's pros and cons to crimp v non-crimp, with wars being fought by the fors and against. The short of it though is I like them because they're easy. I was required to exert a substantial amount of effort from these computer programmer hands in order for a sufficient enough fit. After checking the PL259 was securely attached to the coax, I then slid the coupler along the cable and screwed it onto the PL259 body. I then trimmed off the protruding center conductor. After much trepidation, I then tried my hand at soldering the center conductor onto the PL259, a skill last attempted in Year 10 science many moons ago. Have a squiz at the final artifact. She turned out fine, I reckon. Now let's go and put her through a few tests. In order to test, I placed my magnetic mount antenna in the center of our car's roof. This is an ANT-7900D that I purchased on AliExpress. Apparently it can do 144, 220, 350 and 440 megahertz. The handy talkie I am using is a Quansheng UV-K6. As a foundation license holder, I can transmit on the 2 meter and 70 centimeter bands. My tests were performed without the cable and with the cable connected as a jumper between the HT and the SWR meter. I tested on the 144, 146, 148, 430, 440 and 450 megahertz frequencies. Here's a table providing the summary of results. I've highlighted in red the readings that concern me. I'm not understanding why the same results weren't achieved with and without the cable. I performed a continuity test and the cable appears fine. If you have any ideas, please post in the comments. Cheers for watching.